and go out here and make it secure for her, meaning we have to go out. Here he is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Welcome. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Here is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All praise is due to Allah.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the world, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. We can never thank Allah enough for His mercy to us and His blessings upon us by raising up in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide, His messenger to us, whom we now know as the long sought-after Messiah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I'm very appreciative of your attendance tonight, and although I feel very comfortable on a Wednesday night in the gymnasium, I am always happy to see you. Tonight, I want to speak to you from a verse of the Quran that reads, Allah never changes the condition of a people until they change themselves. Allah never changes the condition of a people until they change themselves. Some of the scholars say that it means God won't change your condition or mine until there's a change in our hearts. And some scholars say it means God will never change the condition of a people until they themselves make a change. If you look at the suffering of black people and the suffering of the human family, the suffering of the human family is directly related to our rejection of the way of God. The suffering of black people specifically in America is directly related to the lifestyle that we have chosen or that has been forced upon us by our slave masters and their children. The Bible teaches that there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the ends thereof are the ways of death. Now, brothers and sisters, most of us who are living the life that we live feel comfortable in our deviation. We feel comfortable in our sin. We feel comfortable in our lifestyle. So the only way we're going to change is if the lifestyle that we live doesn't make us comfortable anymore, if the lifestyle that we are living brings about misery, woe, destruction, then we will begin looking for some way out of the condition that we're in. For nearly 60 years, or 64 years, truth has been offered to black people in America from God in person through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his ministers and representatives. How have we responded to the message and the messenger? Some of us have heard the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and believe it to be true, but I don't want to change. Some of us have heard the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We like it, but it condemns our lifestyle. And so while I like you, Elijah Muhammad, hey man, don't come down so hard on my pork chop. Don't come down so hard on my reefer, on my cigarette, on my partying lifestyle. Please, don't be so hard on my homosexuality, or my lesbianism, or my fornication, or my adultery, or my boyfriends and my girlfriends. I like what you say, but man, come on now, ease up. You are a beautiful people, and you have such marvelous potential. You just don't want to change. But God will never change the condition of a people until they make up in their minds they're going to change, and until the condition of their hearts change. Some of us are Muslims, we say. We don't want to change. We made a superficial change. We put on a long white dress or a bow tie. You know what I mean? Looks nice. But what condition are you living under? If your condition has not substantially improved as a result of your submission to the will of God, then you need to examine yourself, because God will never change the condition of a people until they change themselves. But what will motivate us to change? Some people, I know in my house, my mother didn't have to do too much to me to make me do right. I didn't have a father, but the strap, the stick, the broom, the ironing cord, whatever she could get her hands on was sufficient as an inducement to me to change my way. And she used to always tell me that a hard head makes a soft behind. I didn't understand that at first, but I really got some of her messages. They got through. Sometimes the way to get a message to the mind is through the ears. Sometimes the way to get a message to the mind is through the behind. God will never change the condition of a people until they make a change. Sometimes it takes chastisement to bring about change. The objective of God is to get us to make the change. So he sends a messenger, somebody to give you the word, speak to you, entreat you, exhort you, rebuke you, admonish you, till ultimately perhaps your heart will be affected. You'll make a change. But there are others, don't care how long they're talked to, they are not going to change until they see the wrath of God descending upon them. And so here we are, 64 years since the coming of Master Farad Muhammad and his raising up of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. 64 years. Our condition should be better if we say God has come. Shouldn't our condition be better? But what is the condition of black people? What is it? It's worse. There never was a time that our people have been in the condition that we are in today. Never. Why is this so? If you live in the project, why can't there be peace in the project? There was relative peace on plantations. There's less peace with so-called more freedom than there was when we had less freedom. Our people used to get drunk on the farm, but they wouldn't shoot and kill each other and rob each other and rape and maim each other as we do now. So our condition has gotten worse and worse because of what? We refuse to make a change. So now, the result of our own rebelliousness has brought about the great loss and suffering that we are facing. This is part of God's strap to make the most hard-hearted of you stop and think, what are we doing wrong that we are living under this kind of condition? And the moment you start thinking like that, you're on your way to making a change. God will never change the condition of a people until they change themselves. If the heart has to make a change, what will produce a change in the heart? Well, the Word of God is the best way to change. When that word enters the ear, goes down into the heart, the person who believes that word and acts on the principles inherent in that word, they make an immediate change in their life. When I came to Islam nearly 40 years ago, I didn't need the chastisement of God to make a change. Most of you that are in the nation, you didn't need that either. You heard a word. The word entered your ear. You liked and loved the word, and the word entered into your heart. And immediately you began to change, and you fell in love with the changes that you saw coming in your life. And every time you made a change, God began to gradually improve the quality of your life and the condition of yourself and your family. And even though people around you were suffering and seemed to be at a loss with many babies, it seemed like with you who believed, the more children you had, the more the quality of your life would improve. God does not want to kill his people, and he won't. But he will chastise us if we refuse to come at a call that is so intelligent that when it strikes your ear, you know it's right. There ain't no argument with God. I mean, hey, God, I know. I know I'm wrong. I know I ain't doing right. Okay. Well, then the next question, what are you going to do about it? I mean, sure, we know we're wrong. That's good. You recognize it. That's the first step. But now, what are we going to do about it? We've got to make a change. And I'm going to tell you, brother and sister, when you decide to make a change in your life, God will come quickly to you and aid you in your change. And at first it may be a little difficult because it's natural. He's going to try you to see if you're sincere. But once you pass the first little test, he gives you a blessing. Then he'll put you in a trial again. You pass that one, a greater blessing. And before you know it, it's trial, purification, great blessing. Trial, more purification, greater blessing. Until he brings you right on up to him, where you become a perfect reflection of God. You become like a magnet. Everything is drawn to you. Now, and you become a natural leader, male and female. Oh, Farrakhan, I think you're kind of, laying it on a little thick, aren't you? No, I'm telling you what I myself have experienced. Brothers, I never in my life thought of myself as any leader. And I never in my life desired to be a leader. I always found myself, however, standing up for what was right in the midst of wrong and challenging the wrongdoer with relative strength because I loved what was right. But I never considered myself at any juncture in my life a leader. When I prayed to God for someone to lead our people, I never was thinking about myself. I wanted to meet somebody who cared about us to lead us out of the condition that 400 years of servitude slavery had put us in. And when I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, I found what I was looking for. Now, brothers, sisters, when you find what you're looking for, you got to grab it and hold on to it. You find the man you're looking for, we ain't casual about that. I mean, that's not a casual thing. Maybe with some of you it's casual. Yes, I found him. But I'm going to act like I didn't find him. That's insanity. When you find what you're looking for in a sister, brother, don't you let her know, hey, girl, hey, you're the one I've been looking for all the days of my life. Even if you're lying, you say that. But you shouldn't say it and lie. But now, when you meet the girl or the boy or the man or the woman of your choice, It forces you to do something to please that person. When you find the truth that you've been looking for all your life, truth is going to make a demand on you. And you got to be willing to make a sacrifice for the sake of truth. I found what I was looking for. And the first sacrifice I had to make was to give up something that I loved intensely. I had to give up my music because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said I either had to get out of the nightclub, get out of the music, or get out of the mosque. I didn't waste no time getting out of the music. A lot of my buddies left the mosque, but I had found what I was looking for. And when I was asked to make a sacrifice of something that I loved more than anything else in the world, I love my music, I got rid of that right away. All right. I'm poor and raggedy, too. I was making money with my music. Now, I had to go find a job, which is something I never did before. Work. See, I never called singing and playing work. This is what I love to do. Now I had to go find a job, brother. I had a wife. I had one child and one on the way. And I wasn't going to steal or rob. I was going to work to feed my family. That was a big change in my life, brother. Because I didn't have to work hard. I could just sing or play and make money and feed my family. I found what I wanted, and I had to make a sacrifice. I didn't even know that I could speak because I stammered and stuttered, and I spoke through my music. All of a sudden, one day they said, I want you to come up and say what Islam has done for you. And they called me. I was sitting around the back, and called me up to say what Islam had done for me. That was easy to say because I knew what it did for me. And when I spoke, the audience erupted in applause. Malcolm X was the minister. And when he heard this young brother filled with spirit, he said, brother, I want to make you an assistant minister. I made a change. I got a trial. Now here comes a blessing. My life is your life. You're going to be tried. But if you come through right after it, a blessing. And when you look back on your trial, you say, oh, man, shoot. That wasn't so bad after all. Because the blessing is so good when it comes. Yeah, I was assistant minister. I'm off the stage. Now he calls me, Malcolm, to study the Bible. Well, I studied when I was a little boy in Sunday school. And now I go to a Bible class. Malcolm, every time I saw Malcolm, he had a briefcase full of books. I wonder what kind of books did he have in there? Because that man could rap. Brother, he could teach. So he gave me my first Quran. Malcolm X did. And he used to have a book in there, 100 amazing facts about the Negro by J.A. Rogers. He had another book in there, Bible, Quran, 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. Then he had one, I think, called 15 Million Negroes, $15 billion. So I want to know what he was reading. I want to read. So I started reading again. And then I would open up for Malcolm, which was a big honor. And I would be so creative in my openings. Some of the other assistant ministers, we would sit in our little restaurant, and I would share what I was going to say in my next opening with them. And when they got up to speak, there goes my opening. So my brother would say to me, he called me Gene, he said, Gene, you talk too so much. And you talk all your ideas, and then these cats just take your ideas. And I told my brother, I said, Alvin, I said, God is he who gave me the idea in the first place. And if I empty my glass, God will pour more in. So I was a baby, but I knew that if I continued to give, I would continue to receive. But why am I telling you this? Because I made a change in my life. And when I made a change, God started changing my condition. Because I changed first. And as I grew, my speaking ability increased. I became a captain, a lieutenant, a minister, and had one of the most progressive mosques in the Nation of Islam in Boston, Massachusetts. And when Malcolm was unfortunately assassinated, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called me and gave me New York City. Malcolm's mosque then became the mosque that I would lead, and the home that Malcolm lived in that was firebombed became the house that I would live in. And the position that Malcolm once held as national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would be the position that I would hold. I did not want what Malcolm had. I wanted Malcolm to hold what he had. And in all the years as a student under Malcolm, I helped as best I could to back Malcolm up. Why do I say that? Because you should never want what your brother has. The Bible puts it this way: thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thy neighbor's wife, or anything that is your neighbor's. What your brother has is his, and what he has, you should want it for him, and not want what he has for yourself. Except that what he has is knowledge and truth. You want as much of that as you can get, but not in an envious, covetous way. You have to keep the condition of your heart right in order to get more and more blessings from God. Are you listening? Because once you want what your brother has, because you're envious of your brother, then you put a condition, a veil over yourself, and you find yourself not able to get what you want. And you become more disappointed, and it will lead to bitterness and frustration and imbalance and madness.
always like that by the grace of God. I love to see people with good things, doing good, being good, growing, and whatever they had, I rejoiced in what others had, even though I did not have much myself. God allowed me in my poverty to never be envious of those who had substance. I would ride in my brother's Cadillac, not my blood brother, my Muslim brother, while I had nothing to ride in at all. But I rejoiced because my brother had it. If you had a heart like that, where you rejoiced at what your brother had and never felt envious, that quality of your heart would get you more and more and more and beyond even what you desire. I'm going to prove it. I don't have a lot of time tonight, but I'm going to prove these things to you. They're principles. God caused me to suffer when I became a Muslim. But I was so happy with the truth, I didn't even know I was so poor. Now this is really something. Now that's some kind of happiness, isn't it? To be poor and happy and don't know you're poor. My wife and I had a little apartment. We saw a rug for $20. And we got that rug and put it down in the living room. And we paid for it cash so nobody could come and take it. I got my first bedroom set. I paid $65 for it. It was used, very used. But we disinfected, the mattress, wrapped it in several covers, put a sheet on it, but it was ours. Nobody could come and take it. I told my wife, Elijah Muhammad was trying to make a man out of me. I never wanted to be reduced to a boy through debt. Once you get in debt, somebody come to you and tell you, hey, you missed your payment. Threaten you, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that. Reduce you to a little sniveling boy. Not me. Not me. From the time I was a child, I told my wife when we first got married, baby, I ain't buying nothing new till we can buy it cash. You want to ride with me? It ain't going to be no easy ride. Because I'm not going to get new things and fill myself up with debt and then have to suffer to pay debt. Debt is slavery. And the more you owe, the more enslaved you are. Certain things you can't buy straight out. You can't buy a home straight out. You can't buy a car straight out. Today you can't even buy your dining room set straight out. But whatever you buy, it should be within the means that you have, so that you will let nobody make a chump out of you when God wants to make a man and a woman out of you. I was poor, but everything in my house I owned. My wife owned, and we knew that nobody could take it from us.
we were happy in our poverty. So the scripture said, blessed are the poor. I used to wonder about that. How could somebody be blessed and poor? The only blessing in being poor is that God sent the Messiah to the poor. And if you're not poor in spirit, you're not poor at all. Because no matter what your condition is, when you know God and know the truth and believe, you coming up out of any condition that you're in, if you are steadfast. Because God did not come to keep you poor. God came to reflect richness in your life. But he will try you. Long as you don't get poor in spirit, you will never stay poor. Even if you have nothing in your pocket, you will have something if you have the right spirit. To think of what has happened in my life that really points to the quality of my faith and the condition of my heart. The only time in my life that I became bitter is when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. And I saw people turn on me and speak evil against me and falsely accuse me. I became bitter. You know, Elijah Muhammad had cleaned up my language because I had a terrible mouth. But when he departed and I became bitter, my language became bad again. I discovered why I was bitter. My bitterness was due to my own vanity. I wasn't working for people. I was working for God. Or was I? Or was I? When you come to work for God, maybe your lieutenant or your captain or your immediate supervisor may not honor you for your labor. They may not praise you for the good that you do, but you weren't working for them in the first place. Who are you working for? You didn't write your form to your lieutenant, to your captain, to your supervisor. It said Mr. W.F. Muhammad. So if you're expecting your reward from your friends, from your associates, from your immediate supervisors and superiors, and you don't get it, then you get, man, hard as I work, 15 hours a day, I didn't get a raise. Nobody said nothing. The minister didn't even say thank you. Shoot. Oh, man, I'm angry as hell. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, you sound like a fool. In fact, you are a fool. You wasn't working for them. When you get involved in God's work, You don't work for the reward or praise of men. Your reward comes from God. Only God can give you peace and contentment of mind, not your superior officer. Nobody can reward like God, and nobody can punish like God. So when we are vain people, we are looking for a pat on the back from somebody around us because we're looking for elevation. You're gonna make me a lieutenant. You're gonna make me a squad leader. You're gonna give me a high position. Come on now, see what I'm doing. See. Well, you don't do what you do to be seen of men, because God sees what you do. When nobody in authority can see you, God sees you. And when God elevates you, nobody can put you down. When somebody puts you up, they put you down. But when God puts you up, then nobody can take you down. Hello. Here I was. My leader gave me $1 million mosque in New York to be over. I drove a big 600 Mercedes Benz, lived in a beautiful mansion. None of it belonged to me. I just looked good. Then they moved me to Chi-Town. Lost my Benz. Lost my house. Yeah, I am in Chicago. I don't know nobody. Hardly anybody knows me. Came out of $1 million mosque. And the imam sent me over on West Madison Street, upstairs in a back room to teach. My son looked at me the first day I went and said, man, he didn't say it verbally, but I could see him thinking, man, Daddy's really come a long way down. But I went right on, and that same brother Munir from Crow that you see on Channel 19 all the time, his son and daughter, all of them were named right there in that little mosque through my list, but it was from Imam W.D. Muhammad. But they changed my condition. But the heart, see, God was humbling me. And God was purifying me for something that he had me to do that my detractors had no knowledge of. And I'm telling you, when you allow bitterness to set up in your heart over what people say or do to you, you become the loser. Because the people that beat you down, they go on about their business. And you sitting there brooding over what they said and what they did till you make yourself evil and sick and want to kill somebody. But nobody can do anything to you that you don't allow them to do. You just can't get to me. They talk bad about me all over the world. In the newspaper, that is. I read it, you know what I mean? They can't get to me. And if I were to be moved by the things that people say against me, brother, I'd be running, ducking, dodging, hiding. They just can't get to me. Because my reward don't come from them. See, many of my enemies, they say, well, stop him from speaking on the campuses. keep money from coming to him. I don't get excited. Because I know if you want to cut my blessings off, you got to have a big ladder. You got to reach up to heaven to get mine, where mine is coming from. Since you don't have that kind of ladder, I don't worry nothing about what you think, what you say. I only worry about what I do in relationship to what God has commanded, and as close as I am to that, then I'm protected. I'm in the bosom of God. You can't get to me unless he allows you. So look, man, when you're like that, and that ain't just for me, that's for every one of you. You need to find where God's bosom is and get up in there. Nothing can harm you. Nothing can move you. Neither life nor death, nor powers, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things past can separate us from the love of the God. God will never change your condition until you change the condition of your heart. An envious person, you ain't gonna get nothing. Jealous-hearted, envious, covetous person can't give nobody a decent compliment. You can't find nothing good to say about nobody. Well, I don't have to worry about you. Your condition is hell. You live in hell. You're in hell. You ain't never going to be happy with nothing you got. You can't appreciate what you have because you're always looking at what God has given somebody else. You don't even know you're being blessed because you're just an ungrateful wretch. Yeah? And so here we are. 17 years ago, I could not stand to hear the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taken in vain, the name of God taken in vain, people speaking evil about a man that did so much good. I had to try to rebuild his work. I would drive down Stony Island, and when I got to this mosque, I would look the other way, hurt because we paid for it, and it was no longer ours. But when God blessed me to decide to rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I drive by and look at it, and I say, it's going to be ours real soon. We started in the basement of my little home on Damon. In a basement is where the nation started again. When we bought the Final Call building, I never called it a mosque because this was the mosque. Because I knew we were coming here. So I called that building the Final Call Administration Building because I never wanted us to settle on mosque till we got here. We're here. University's up and started. Just give me another year or two. You won't have to go to college in no Negro college or white man's college. You'll have your own university level.
have to worry about going to Cook County. Go there now, or whatever hospital you can get in. But we're going to have our own just a few more days from now. You ain't got to worry about living in these bad apartments. Just a few days from now, you live in a community that will be our own community. Our elderly don't have to worry no more. You don't have a decent, safe place to live. Give me a few days. And you can grow old with grace and dignity. And nobody will afflict you or offend you. God will never change your condition until you change. I went to the summit meeting in Baltimore. As you know, in February, when we held a press conference in Washington, D.C., over the madness of the Anti-Defamation League created by them over some remarks made by Brother Khaled at Keene College. In that very press conference, I called for a summit. Before I made the press conference, I spoke to the Reverend Dr. Ben Chavis and told him that I'm going to call for a summit. I said, but I know that I can't host such a summit. And he said, brother, I will host it. And when he came back from overseas, he said he was calling for the summit. And the moment he called for the summit, they began beating on that poor brother. Members of the Anti-Defamation League called him in and told him, well, all right, have a summit, but don't have Farrakhan. And he and the chairman of the board of the NAACP stood up and said, no, you don't tell us who to invite. You have to understand that they get a lot of their money from Jewish philanthropy. And it took an awful lot of courage on their part to say no because of Farrakhan. But it's bigger than Farrakhan. It's about solving the problems of our people. And so, as you notice, when we went to the summit, they didn't want to focus on the critical issues that affect our people. They wanted to make me the centerpiece of controversy at the summit. So Jewish persons were out there picketing, which is their right to do. NAACP, yes. Farrakhan, no. It's all right. We had a great summit. A powerful meeting of brilliant black men and women, young men and older men, and young women and older women. It was a powerful meeting. But in that meeting, I learned something that made me more determined than ever to build the Nation of Islam. All these wonderful black organizations and religious leaders, scholars were present. But still, there seemed to be some reluctance on the part of some to take responsibility for our destiny into our own hands. Some of us still believe in begging the slave master to do for us what we could unite and do for ourselves. And so when I saw this mentality still existing in a few, I said, I must go home and work doubly, triply, quadruply hard to build a nation. Because with those leaders in that room, if we marshaled the people that they represented and we pooled our resources intellectually and financially, we could solve 90% of our problems. I would not say let the government off the hook, because the government owes black people. But we got to put a demand on ourselves first. Why? Because Allah will never change the condition of a people until we change ourselves. We have to get out of that old slave mentality. We go to Washington and beg white folks. Because then you put your future in their hands. God wants you and me to take our lives out of their hands and put our lives in God's hand and in our own hands. And so when I left Baltimore, I'm determined that the unity of all these black leaders and organizations must continue. But I want you to help me show them an example of what can be done when people pool their resources to lift themselves economically. Practically every FOI in Chicago is working. And there are brothers in this nation who are selling 2,000 and 3,000 final calls per edition, buying homes, buying cars from the sale and distribution of the paper and the products. You don't even realize how much power you have. God has blessed me to make friends for you, and you won't find them unless you knock on doors and they see you. Some will cuss you out. Nigga, get that paper away from here. Well, others will say, oh man, you with Farrakhan? That's my man. If God has blessed us to open a way, take advantage of it. And so, we're determined that restaurant, bakery complex will be finished in maybe a month or two. Many jobs will be available for chefs, waiters, maintenance, bakers, truck drivers. Maybe 60 to 80 jobs. That's just a beginning. When we put the extension on and expand the bakery operation, the produce, the fresh fish, the meat, the poultry, you got to help me get the farm. Thousands of acres down there in Georgia. We got nearly $1 million toward it right now. Oh yeah.
it may take 2, 3. We don't want to be on a farm with a mule. We got to have modern equipment, tractor, combine. Some of you know how to farm, but you was farming sharecropping in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. You don't want that. But if you get on your farm, talking about what you own, hey, Doc, you want to pick cotton again? Hell no, I ain't picking no cotton. I ain't picking no cotton. But brother, if it's cotton growing on thousands of acres of your land, you ain't picking cotton for your enemy. You're picking cotton for yourself. You take the cotton, turn it into lint, then turn it into cloth. And then we got factories we're going to open. We don't have to wear Hanes. I'm going to get my Hanes on you. We're going to wrap black people up in their own underwear. All of us wear underwear. I hope. Let us get our hands on you. The whole world is in front of us to build. God just wants you to turn and change so he can quickly help you to help yourself. We want that farm. We see a piece of property that we'd like to get right here in Chicago to build a home for our elderly. We'll tell you more about that in the future. But all of this is possible. It's right at our hands through the FOI and the sales and distribution of the final call. You're not a paper boy. You're a messenger of God. How many of you would like to be a messenger of God? I mean, I tell you, that's rough stuff, but I want to be one. In fact, I am one. Yeah, that's what we are, little messengers, bringing a message to a thirsty, hungering people who want knowledge, and without that knowledge, they will perish. Every one of you young men, older men, that take that final call and bring it to our people, you're doing a service that money cannot pay you for. You deserve a reward from God. That you will get. Now, in conclusion, the work of the Nation of Islam is to provide for all of our people an example of what can be done. Our people don't believe in themselves. We have to show them what the church can do, what religion can do, what our organizations can do if they stop depending on white people and depend on themselves. You must help me to show them what they can do. Because, brothers, if we can point with pride, this is our farm. Take your children down on your farm. You can't see it with a car. You'll be riding maybe a week. You have to get up in a helicopter.
I'll fly a helicopter down there just to take you up in the air and take you minutes, hours to see your land. You have no idea what Elijah Muhammad had down there, and I intend to get it all back. And then some. So in conclusion, no, it ain't going to take too much time. In conclusion, Elijah comes to turn the hearts of the children to their fathers. See, Elijah comes to make a change in the heart. Turn your heart back to your father, that your father's heart may turn towards you. When that happens, we become invincible, indestructible. We build a wall that is impregnable. We cannot be defeated once we are turned back to God and God turns back to us. The New Testament, Jesus gives a parable of the prodigal son. He went in a strange land to try to join himself on to be a citizen, living a strange life. But then a famine arose, and he said, I think I will arise and go to my father. A change came in his heart. When he decided to reflect on his father's house and wanted to go back toward his father, he turned toward his father, and his father turned toward him. And the prodigal son was rejoined to his father, and the robe and the ring and the fatted calf were his, because he made a change in his heart and in his condition. When we met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he gave us a prayer to say, and it goes like this: surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, trying to be upright. What were you before? Low down, turned away from God. But now Elijah turns us back to God, and now we're trying to be upright. That's a change from what we were. And the moment we make that change, God then begins to change your condition. Again, it is written in the scriptures that when God said to the people, you, the people of God, who are called by my name, if you would humble yourself and pray and turn from your wicked ways. Let's stop right there. If my people who are called by my name, who are God's people? He said, I will choose the despised, the rejected, a foolish people, a people that were no people at all, and they will be my people, and I will be their God. If my people, who are your people, God? My people are the despised and rejected,
so-called American Negroes. These are my people, but if my people who are called by my name, what's your name? What's your name? My name is W.F. Muhammad. I came to North America by myself. There was no arm to uphold me, so my right arm, it upheld me. I came traveling the wine press alone. What did you come for? I came after my people. I want them to be called by my name. What is your name? My name is Muhammad. What does Muhammad mean? One worthy of praise and one praise much. What is my name? I am Jesus. What is my name? I am the Christ. So I call this house Mosque Maryam. Mary. That's what this mosque is named. After the mother of Jesus. Why? You come in that door. See that? This long aisle? That's like the vaginal tract. See these wings made like a cross? It's like the fallopian tubes. See where I come out of? That's the womb. It's the inner sanctum. That's where gestation takes place. You come in here, you hear a word, and it begins to change you, but you're not yet ready to go forth and meet the world, but you stay here 9 months with me. And when you get birthed and go back out that door into the world, you came in a nigger, but you go out Jesus. You go out a little Jesus, a little Messiah, a little Savior for our people. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. We got to humble ourselves so that God can use us more. He wants to use us in a mighty way, but you got to humble yourself, and the more you humble yourself, the more God can exalt you. That's why in our prayer service, the greatest position is the position of sajda, which is your complete prostration. And when you're in the position of prostration, you say, glory to Allah, the Most High, Subhana Allah. Glory to Allah, the Most High. Why? Because the more you humble yourself, the more you see God as greater and greater and greater. Then he becomes so great in your life, and you become so small that he begins to come in and pick you up. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, and then turn from their wicked way, make a change, then will I hear from heaven and heal your land, your condition. You don't have to worry about your farmland. There'll always be rain, because if you turn and I turn and we turn, and God hears our prayers, our land will produce crops unlike any land, because it's the land of the righteous.
Anything you want, call on him. I do. Anything I want, I get. Call on him, brothers and sisters. Change your hearts. Change your condition. Then God will change the world in which we live, because we decided to make a change ourselves. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.